Are you confused about writing? Do you not know where to start or even how to finish? Do you love writing so much that it burns deep in your soul, but you still don't know how to meet your goals? Are you looking for a little inspiration that will take you on a writer's vacation? Then let us all write together. Let us all write our way. Hello, everybody. Welcome again. Welcome to Write Our Way. I'm your host, Patrick Starks, and today we're going to talk about fear of adjustments. And just to clarify what I'm talking about is basically I'm saying how we adjust to changes in our stories as the days and months go on. I know a lot of times we as writers tend to think that we have a good scope of what the story should be, and we have an outline and we have it all structuralized where we think it should all just flow pretty easy. But as you may know, and as you've been writing for a while, you can tell that as you write your story, you start to find things that you might want to tweak or change. And I know for some writers, this is kind of like scary because it's like you feel a little lost. And you know, when you feel lost in your story, you really feel like your story is just kind of falling apart and you have no direction towards what you really want it to be, what you really want your audience to see. However, before you start fearing this, I would be open to these changes, because what I've found as a writer is a lot of these changes are really good changes. They actually better your story. Like if you look at your first draft from like your third or fourth draft, you can see a significant difference. But that's typically what storytelling is. I usually compare it to like when I was in school doing 3D modeling. I majored in visual effects, and when we were 3D modeling, our teachers always said, you know, don't try to be fancy, don't try to put any flashy things on the 3D model, just build out the base. And when I look at stories, it's basically we're just building out the base in the beginning of the story, and as we continue to write the story, the icing on the cake begins to develop. And usually this icing on the cake is going to be the changes that you make throughout your story. Now, I know there are some writers out there that can just follow their outline completely from beginning to end, and you know, kudos to them. And I honestly feel like that's extremely rare. Most writers, when they start an outline, again, it's going to have some significant changes down the road. And so it's just good not to pressure yourself on following it like word for word. It's just, you're going to drive yourself nuts. It's honestly kind of one of the reasons why I've never been a fan of outlines. I do what you kind of call, not really outlines, but just like little footnotes. I leave like little hints and notes to myself of like who this character is, what's their objective in the story, what's the plot of the story, what's the villain's quarrel with the hero, and you know, so forth. But I'm not really trying to follow a certain structure. For me, it's kind of like I scramble a bunch of like, think of like a puzzle, right? I just scramble all the pieces up together and I just try to make them connect down the road. And as I go back and review, the pieces all fall in line somehow. I cannot explain how I'm able to do that. Some people would say that's just not really efficient way to write a story, but hey, it works for me. And again, like I've talked about in one of our podcasts about writing the way you would want to write, writing your own way. And so it's good to find what's comfortable for you as a writer, because all writers are different. I mean, we're all storytellers, that's a fact, but we all have our own niches on how we world build. And so you want to stay natural to you so that you're comfortable writing these stories and not feeling pressure. Again, it's not like, I could see if you had like a publisher, they wrote you like a $5,000 check and they said, hey, we need this story by the end of the month or 2 months. That's a completely different ball game right there. That's just business. And from business standards, you need to make sure you're following all the most efficient ways to produce your body of content so that it can be delivered to your client or to your publisher so that they can deliver it to the audience. Because there's so much more that follows along with that. Like, they still need the editor to edit it. So they might come to you about some changes that they might want you to maybe think about tweaking, because maybe it doesn't fall under the actual genre that you're aiming for. Like, maybe you got a few I was guilty about this earlier stages of writing, where my stories are very like childlike. They seem very like I hate to make the comparison all the time, but it's like Harry Potter like style writing, but it's got like cuss words in it. So it's like an adult version of it. And so the editor or the literary agent will be like, well, you know, story's good and all, but we can't deliver this. we can't pitch this to your audience because your audience is a young audience, and you know, cuss words and, you know, even some type of like nudity scenes don't really work out. And it's funny because in my opinion, I'm going to go ahead and say it. In my opinion, if you've ever played any video games online, let me tell you, these kids have the dirtiest mouths. So not trying to enable it, but in all honesty, it's already been enabled in a sense. So it's like, what are we really trying to filter here? Let's just tell a good story and stop trying to be so picky about, you know, what's being said. But just going back to what we were talking about, unless you have, again, like a publisher that has a set deadline for you, you really shouldn't pressure yourself. Really take time to immerse yourself in your story and get as creative as possible and make the changes you want to make to it. Because at the end of the day, we are trying to cater to an audience, but if you yourself as an author, writer, are not happy with the story, it will reflect sometimes to your audience. But there have been rare occasions where people thought their stories absolutely like just stinked, but the audience loved it. They were like, encore. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to pinpoint it, but really be happy with the content you create, because I think it is a part of your fulfillment in life is to create things that, you know, make you fulfilled. You know, you don't want to create anything where you're just like, oh, I feel so embarrassed. I think it's going to be crap. They're going to make fun of me and stuff. It's like, you should feel absolutely confident in whatever story you're writing. So, and I tell a lot of young writers this, a lot of beginning writers, is just, you know, they're afraid to put their content out there. It's like, don't be afraid. It's all, especially if, we're writing fiction, guys. It's not nonfiction. Now, if you wrote something pretty sick about like some murder that you happen to do and it was nonfiction, then that's creepy, and one, you should probably be arrested. But when we're talking about fiction, it's like it's all world building. It's not real, you know. In a sense, the morals to the stories can be real, but the actual characters and the environment, sometimes they're not real. So it's no need to have that pressure on yourself to feel like you gotta be so perfect all the time. I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys before, but I truly feel like stories should reflect the human condition. They're not meant to be perfect line for line. There should be some chaos. There should be some confusion, and there should be some happy moments. There should be some sad moments, because that's human life, you know. Your book is an extension of a human when you look into it deeper. You know, when I think about these adjustments to our stories, think about some of the most famous artists and inventors that came before us. Think about Einstein. Think about Da Vinci. You know, when they were creating these bodies of art, these amazing inventions that they were creating, they didn't have, let me take that back. They had an outline. They had an idea of what they wanted to do. However, like I've said before, they had to make adjustments, but they weren't subjective to those adjustments. They went along with it, and because they went along with those changes or adjustments, they end up making just world-changing things happen for not just themselves, but for everyone in the world. But, now that I think about it, let me take it on a deeper perspective. This is the whole reason why I'm so adamant about people learning how to write, learning how to tell stories, reading more, is because it's a form of our communication. Again, these stories are fiction, but these stories are a reflection of who we are as human beings, how we react to certain situations, what we do when backed into a corner, what we do when all hope is lost and we really feel like we don't have the support or the help. All the characters that are mostly portrayed in fiction stories go through these type of challenges. And not to rag on the educational system, but this is why it's so important for us to continue teaching our kids this, is because this teaches our kids how to behave amongst society. It teaches them how to communicate with one another, and it gives them kind of a perspective of what it's like to deal with these challenges and how they can handle them. It's not a secret why kids are so highly invested into superheroes, why they love them so much, why they love the Disney characters so much, is because they see those characters go through challenges that they themselves sometimes face, even at an early age, but then they see how they overcome them. I mean, sure, the parents can teach them this, but as you know, most children are going to listen to people outside their family circle. And that's why when I write my stories, I'm so big on not writing anything negative. I'm very positive. I have a moral to my stories, is because I don't want to put any toxic stuff out that might guide somebody in the wrong direction of their life where it's irreversible, right? And you got to think about that as a writer. It really is, how should I say it? It really is one of those things where it's a powerful thing that you have to use wisely and with good intention. Now, I will say that there are some people out there, especially a lot of content creators out there, they use it for not good intentions, but that's them. That's okay. But there's got to be a balance system, right? So I would say, to end this off on a lesson, is to be careful about what you see in social media or how content is created. It's definitely can be a clown show, and that's just me being blunt. It's a clown show sometimes, and we need to have a balance where we have more people out there putting out more good and positive things that can help people push through life. Now, I'll say it, life's not all sunshine and rainbows. Again, I lost my father 4 or 5 months ago, so I totally understand. Life sucks. It's not fair. I still, think about him every day. I say, why him? Such a good man, and you have, I hate to say it, you just have so much evil going on in the world, and you see the good go, and it's hard to process that at times. But it's not to say that you should just lay your weapons down, lay your pen down, and just be like, well, I guess that's it. I'll join the club. You guys, I love you all, and I am deeply saying, refuse it. You keep smiling. Even if people don't smile back, just keep doing you, because, again, this is an adjustment. To lead off what we were talking about, this is adjustment itself that needs to be portrayed in the world, and the only way these adjustments can be made is through taking adjustments in our stories, being open to accepting those, and then going forth and pushing those out into the world, and we can all shine. But guys, I'm not gonna get too deep on this. I don't want to drag you guys down here emotionally, but I just want you guys to have really good intentions and really enjoy what you're doing, enjoy the process of writing, and really just be excited to show the world it and what you've found of how it's helped you, you know. But yeah, keep being open to those adjustments in your stories, guys. Don't be afraid, and you know, keep at it. All right. That's enough. So, you guys know the slogan: become a child again. Imagine, my friends, and stay tuned for the next episode. See you guys soon. And just to clarify for our episodes, we're doing it every other weekend. So, we got one today, and the next Saturday, I'll be doing another one. So just to keep you guys up to date with what the schedule is for the podcast. But all right, guys, I'm gonna leave you at it. Leave you to your writing, and again, see you soon. Later.